Hello everyone, so this is this week's lecture on this principle of design, and this week's topic is going to be balance. So in design, balance refers to the distribution of weight or force within a composition. So negative and positive shapes can work together to create an equilibrium among compositional units, regardless of variation in their size, weight, or shape. I know it sounds a little confusing, but believe me, by the end of this lecture, you'll get the sense of it. So we can define visual weight in two ways. So first, weight refers to the inclination of shapes to float or sink. And second, weight can refer to the relative importance of a visual element within a design. So the compositional forces that most influence visual weight are the size and type of shape, its texture or value, its location within the compositional frame, and its orientation. So the orientation of the composition as a whole also affects weight and balance, which is the most dynamic and which is the most stable position of the box in the picture you see right here. The overall compositional format also affects balance. So using dramatic vertical shapes within the tall vertical format, Bernice Abbott captures this soaring energy of Wall Street in the picture. And whereas the compositional dynamics change dramatically when a square format is used, as you can see on the right. The visual weight can also refer to the relative importance of a visual element within a design. So in this work, Moonrise, Ansel Adams combined balance, gravity, and movement to create an image that is both tranquil and dramatic. A square format dominated by horizontal lines provides stability. The quiet village sinks to the bottom of the design. The tiny moon, positioned just to the left of the compositional center, pulls us to the pitch black sky in the top half of the image. As the focal point of the image, the tiny moon has the most visual weight in this photograph. So symmetrical balance occurs when shapes are mirrored on either side of an axis. So as in composition that is vertically divided down the center, as you can see on the A. You notice that how there's an axis in the center and then two identical shape is mirrored according to the axis. A shift in this axis creates a symmetry between the top and bottom of the design in B. So how can we use the symmetrical balance in our composition? So this is a good example. A symmetrically balanced design can appeal to our desire for equilibrium and communicate calm and stability. So the Taj Mahal was built by a 17th century Indian emperor as a tomb for his beloved wife. So the three white marble domes and the four flanking towers create architectural symmetry. In the reflecting pool, a mirror image appears, making it even more symmetrical, which alludes the absolute stability, which evokes this emotion of calm and soothing. So radial symmetry. With radial symmetry, lines and shapes are mirrored both vertically and horizontally, and the center of the composition acts as a focal point. So for example, the center of the Bella Kula mask in figure 3.26 is symmetrically balanced. By contrast, the surrounding ring of faces and hands create radial balance. Zach Weinberg's square series presents 16 variations on radial balance. Using a laser cutter, he was able to transform sheets of masonite and wood into a wide range of elegant designs. An alternative to a radial balance is a spiral. A spiral can increase energy within a circular format or add movement to a rectangular composition. So in Christina Klein's Kansas Winds, yeah. A visual vortex pulls our eyes from the bottom of the composition to the top. The diagonals within this vortex contrast sharply with the more stable vertical and horizontal shapes that define the blue building in the background. you notice that how much energy and movement is going within this composition by introducing a spiral. So let's talk about the asymmetrical balance. So I think this is a strongest form of a balance, and I really strongly suggest that you look into it and then start including your composition for your first project. So asymmetrical balance creates equilibrium among visual elements that do not mirror each other or on either side of an axis. Depending on the degree of asymmetry, the result design may be quite stable, very dynamic, or nearly chaotic. So we can use many strategies to create asymmetrical balance. So let's take a look at these, for example, so one by one. So let's take a look at the number 1A. So we can place a large shape close to the fulcrum while placing a small shape farther away, just as a child at the end of the seesaw can balance an adult near the center. So large and small shapes can be balanced in a design A, as you can see right here. Also in design B right here, we can use several small shapes to balance a large shape, as you can see in the B. So our mind kind of tells that, oh, this is where mind likes to see that the actual weight of these elements, and then by giving multiple of them is kind of making this seesaw perfectly stable this way. And number C, a small solid square can balance a large open circle. So the solidity and stability of the square gives it additional weight, as you can see in the C. So obviously square shapes gives off the most stability visually, whereas circle, which is the whereas the continuous motion, there is no ending edge, there's no edge, it suggests the endless visual movement. So that is why by having a solid square, which alludes more weight than the open shape circle, so that is why we can visually balance these two shapes without any causing instability. You can balance the textured shape near the fulcrum with a lighter open shape that we place farther away. So yes, because if it involves some kind of information like this, texture, our mind tells that this looks heavier than the open shape here. It's just because it looks empty and it looks filled. It's just, you don't have to think it hard way. Okay, so asymmetrical balance becomes even more interesting when we add boundary. So because the negative space meaning this white space, and positive space meaning this black space. So negative space will be the space where it's not occupied by the main subject, which in this case the negative space will be this background right here, and then this shape outside of these two figure right here in this area, there will be the negative space. Here will be this light blue sky. So because the negative space, so let's take a look at this. So asymmetrical balance becomes even more interesting when we add a boundary. So because the negative space is as important as each positive space, we can now create more complex composition. So let's take a look at one by one. A small shape placed near the bottom of the format balances a large shape placed along the top. Especially within a tall rectangle, shapes placed near the top tends to rise, and shapes placed near the bottom tends to sink, as you can see in A. In B, when the small square intersects with the bottom edge and the large square moves away from the edge, the differences in weight becomes even more pronounced. In C, the top shape now gains energy through its diagonal orientation. And we need three bottom shapes to create balance because it has such a amount of energy. And finally, D, a small aggressive triangle can balance a large passive rectangle because inherently, triangle packs more energy and movement than the rectangle. So yes. balance. And balance in a composition shifts each time we add or subtract a visual element. So on the right, PM Mondrian composition 2 in red, blue, and yellow is constructed from black vertical and horizontal lines, 3 brightly colored shapes, and 4 white rectangles. Three brightly colored shapes and 4 rectangles. I mean, you could, to this painting, you could say, oh, my 4-year-old nephew can make a painting like that, but notice how carefully the artist composes balance. Placed at the bottom of the painting, the tiny yellow rectangle in the lower right corner provides an essential counterbalance to the larger shapes in the design. On the left, designer Hans Ulrich Allman balanced multiple layers of text within a vertical rectangle. A light blue shape, which is the negative space in this case, fills the top half of the image, then dissolves into the white space at the bottom. This would be a foreground, and then the black will be the background. A horizontal block of text is positioned slightly below the center, while along the right edge, a vertical block of text pulls our eyes upward. So the word action is enclosed by a fine line. 5 lines of orange text connect the horizontal and vertical axis, with 3 near the bottom and 2 running parallel to the right edge. The tiny red logo positioned nearby creates a visual exclamation point. Each type of balance has its advantages. The approximate symmetry that Frida Kahlo used for this double self-portrait on the right is symbolically appropriate and compositionally effective. So painted in response to her divorce from painter Diego Rivera, it represents the beloved Frida in a native costume on the right and the rejected Frida in European dress on the left. So a linear vein connects the woman's hearts. So in some cases, a degree of imbalance is necessary. So this painting used to create an imbalance within its composition. So the table in the foreground is tilted, and the bowl of fish seems impossibly large, pulled by the diagonal lines leading to the house. The pool also seems skewed, while the tiny women are more like dolls than people. Manning the grill, the father looks on approvingly as his son engages in a little, recreational fire breathing. So the entire scene seems to be slightly bold, both visually and conceptually. And this spatial distortion, combined with the bizarre collection of objects and events, turns a family picnic into suburban nightmare, which is the main subject of this painting. All right, that is it. That is it for the this week's lecture. And so same drill here. Find the some kind of artwork or graphic design or sculpture or film, video, and then write about it. And that will be the this week's weekly assignment. So. And also this week, the project is going to be due, so make sure that you export your file as the JPEG and then submit it in the discussion board that is provided. So more detailed information on how to submit the first project will be provided sometime this week. All right, I'll see you guys on the next video.